Welcome back for a new tier list. This time we are looking at ranking of custom total. We have 7 custom tiers, starting with no opinion tier. Keep in mind these are strictly anime series that I have personally watched, miniseries or stuff, excluding movies, and excluding any animation that may be similar style but not from Japan. So excluding anything from like South Korea or China or anything else that uses a similar art style. With that said, we are looking at a total of 100 animes for the tiers. The tier lists are starting at the bottom, no opinion tier, then trash tier, overrated tier, which may have a few hot takes, underrated tier, solid tier, classic tier, and then all time great tier. So, with that said, and these are strictly animes that I have personally actually watched. So, with that said, music in the background today is from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. First up, in no opinion tier of anime, or rather, I don't have much to say overall. First is Seed Gundam is the first of the three on this tier. I don't really have much of an opinion one way or the other on. Also, basically any Pokemon series after the Johto era. I don't have too much of opinion on as I didn't really watch anything off and on past really advance. Still, I watched a few episodes here and there. Still, I am not impressed at all, but I overall don't have a strong feeling one way or the other, which is why it ends up in this tier. Also, then we have trash tier. These are animes that I just feel maybe either get a little too much praise or I just don't think the quality is really there. But keep in mind, personal perspective. Everyone has an opinion. First of which is Digimon Data Squad. Did not like that Digimon series whatsoever. Never have been a big fan of it. Also, Digimon Fusion, not a fan of in the least. That's why it's in this tier. Also, I may or may not get some hate for this, but Digimon Adventure Season 2. I am not a fan of Season 2 of Digimon Adventure. Maybe there was one or two good elements here or there, but overall, as a whole, I was not a fan of the Digimon Emperor or many other things they did in Adventure Season 2. Also, of others I have in the trash tier, Hamtaro. I'm sure some people will argue with me on that, and that's all well and good. Up to you. But as for me, no. Also, SD Gundam. Never been a fan of it. Never will be. Though, to be fair, it's not targeted towards my demographic. Plus, some of this stuff I don't have as strong of a nostalgia for, so it doesn't blind me like it may blind some other people. Also, Tenchi Muyo GXP. Not a fan of the GXP Tenchi series at all. I don't get why so many people like it. Personally, I think it is the worst Tenchi series I've seen. But to each their own. And that is it on the trash tier. Next up, we're going to the overrated tier. There are not too many on this tier, but still, now there is one, or anime I should say, on this tier that I also have higher up, but I acknowledge still, regardless, it is overrated. Even if it still is good quality overall. First of ones I feel are overrated, One Piece. I feel is a bit overrated as an anime. I feel the same way about High School that did. I don't know why it gets so much love that it does. I get it, right, because of the fan service and things. I mean, yeah, it has some interesting takes on the zombie apocalypse, but overall, I think it gets way more praise than it should. Also, um, may get me also some backlash, but the original Naruto series, I am personally not a big fan of. I feel it is overrated, though I ended up actually really enjoying the sequel series, weirdly enough. But Also, Gundam Wing. This is an anime you will see on another spot higher up, but for me, Gundam Wing I still feel is easily the most overrated Gundam series of all time. It wasn't my first Gundam series. My first was Mobile Suit Gundam and then G Gundam. Gundam Wing was like third Gundam series I saw, so it doesn't have the over amount of nostalgia like many people. Also, the last one, I do acknowledge it's a decent anime overall, but still not a big. I feel the manga is a lot better. This is one of the few times I'll actually say I prefer the manga over the actual anime, and that is Attack on Titan. The game is good, solid, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I just feel maybe Attack on Titan gets a little too much praise at times. Uh, Also, underrated tier, we have definitely quite a few in this tier. First up is Corrector Yui, which is, of course, as I've mentioned before, is a big time, I think maybe the most underrated magical girl anime I personally ever watched, though I would say also a magical girl anime that takes place in the Tenchi universe called Pretty Sammy is also somewhat underrated, but definitely this is even more so, as very few people have heard of this anime. It has elements of like going into computers and stuff, even though also magical girl. So it's an interesting merger of ideas. Also underrated in my opinion, a great solid mech anime series, and I expect a lot of spots on these tiers to actually have mech. Zoids is another one I feel is a bit underrated nowadays. It was popular at one time, but over the years, people have sort of forgotten about Zoids, weirdly enough. Also, Ultimate Muscle is an interesting anime to say the least. I feel it's a bit underrated, at least in today. Back in the like mid 2000s, it was huge, but then its popularity really died down really quick. Maybe arguably it's because also being a wrestling fan is probably one of the reasons I actually enjoy Ultimate Muscle more than some. Also, I feel also on the underrated side, Monster Rancher, an interesting take on the Pokemon formula, though it definitely has some very distinctive elements to it. Plus, the PS1 games are classics, in my opinion. Also, I want to put on the underrated list Digimon Try and Digimon Frontier. As I've already said before, in my opinion, Frontier is the most underrated Digimon series of all time, in my opinion. It has great storytelling, I like the characters, and everything overall about it. It's very unique and distinctive from any other series, and actually, I really enjoy the music of it. Also, on the underrated side of things, Dragon Ball GT is on the underrated list by far, definitely. I don't know why more people don't agree. I think it also gets a little too much hate personally. With that said, also on the underrated list, a classic from the early 90s, at least being brought over here, originally released in the 80s. In Japan, this series was called Samurai Troopers. In America, it is called Ronin Warriors. And it was basically the, I guess you could say, the boy equivalent to really Sailor Moon is the best way to put it. It's great. I love characters like Anubis, Sekhmet, and many others. And of course, Emperor Talpa, which is a great villain in the series. Also, want to mention of other honorable mention, or rather underrated animes that don't get as much love as it should. Witch Hunter Robin, which was a great series by, of course, Bandai. Also, the original classic Mobile Suit Gundam, in my opinion, is underrated, as well as Gundam 0081 and Gundam 0083, as well as a kind of a weird, peculiar animated series where the English dub was done in Canada, and it definitely ended up very crazy and over the top, but the cheese is what makes it partially very memorable. and that being Samurai Pizza Cats. And yes, technically it is an anime. Also, Dai-Guard, which at the beginning would say Dai-Guard Office Workers Saving the World. It was a great, very entertaining mech anime, a very unique, its own style, and its humor is what really I enjoy about it, and also the interactions between different characters in the series. It was at least lucky enough to get like 26 episodes. If you've seen plenty of mech animes or monster style movies, then you know what you're getting in Daigar, but still enjoyable nevertheless. Also, uh, The World of Narue. That is a great anime I recommend more people check out, as I believe you can watch it on YouTube for free, so check it out. Also, another great anime, mech anime, I think it doesn't get enough love, Agent Soma. And seriously, it's a much, I think, darker from certain tones and deeper in theosophical areas and stuff than many other mech animes of the time. Also, Android Kukaider, another anime that sadly a lot of people have forgotten about. Also, Tenchi in Tokyo, I think, is criminally underrated. Also, He Is My Master. It's definitely like it would suggest, it is a bit more of a, I guess you could say, a harem style anime, but still, I enjoy the kind of weird, nutty humor and stuff in it, is what makes it appealing. Also, a criminally underrated anime called Comet Lucifer is one I recommend checking out. Also, Blade anime series, a mini series, but it is great, superb, and it's like rated TVMA, so it has all the blood and everything you want for Blade. Also, the last on the underrated tier for me is the King of Fighters Destiny, which is a full CG anime series done by SNK themselves. You can watch, in fact, the entire playlist I actually have saved on my YouTube channel. So if you want to check it out, and if you're a fan of KOF, I recommend it. With that said, next up we go to solid tier. First up we have Dragon Ball Super. I think is a solid anime. I don't think it's at the same level as some of the other Dragon Ball shows. Also, in the solid tier, I have to put Full Metal Panic is a great series. Total, I ended up getting like 3 seasons. I really enjoy it. I think more people need to check out Full Metal Panic because it's really enjoyable. I like a lot of the characters, the music. Also, on the solid tier, Transformers Armada. There's a reason I was wearing Transformers partially, because Armada is a great series from the 2000s, and it also brought back a lot of the voice cast from actually Beast Wars, which is awesome. Also, Castlevania anime series is on the solid tier for me. Also, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Season 1 of Beyblade, Metabots, Naruto Shippuden is on the solid tier, as it is a series I've come to really enjoy over time, and I like it more and more as I watch it. Unlike the original Naruto, weirdly enough, I love the sequel series. Also on the solid tier, both a mech and a magical girl anime in one, Steel Angel Karumi. Great, criminally underrated series with sort of mini episodes, as an average episode was like 12 minutes, which made it unique and different. Also, Fully Cooley gets an honorable mention, as well as Vendread, which is a unique mech anime series of its time. Also, of course, the classic, Death Note is, in my opinion, a solid anime, not quite above it though. Also, Vampire Knight, another great series. Also, Samurai 7. If you've never seen it, check it out. It has both. It's a combination samurai mixed with mech. What's not to like? Also, Speed Grapher, which is a interesting, more mature rated anime compared to many others from, at the time, late 2000s, early 2010s from Funimation. Also, mention Sword Art Online. Also, Overlord, which is a very recent one for me. Also, Mega Man NT Warrior. If you've never seen it, it's basically based around the Mega Man uh, Battle Network story and arc. Also, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Roland Soldier, Captain Earth, Black Hat. Also, Welcome to Pia Carrot, which is a bit more mature rated, based off of a dating sim of the 90s, which you could find on like the Saturn and stuff, but only import. Also, Rosary Vampire. Also, Gravitation, Fate Stay Night, Chobits, and Witchblade. That's it for the solid tier. Next up, looking at the classic tier, second to highest. Many greats on this list throughout the years that have definitely hold a very heavy nostalgia for me. Starting off classic tier, Card Captors Sakura. Also, Dot Hack Sign, which is a superb and had an incredible series of 4 games on the PS2, which part 4 has become insanely expensive nowadays. But also, if you've never seen, I highly recommend checking out Dot Hack Sign. It's actually a very good. It was way ahead of its time. In fact, Sword Art Online stole certain elements from it. Also in the classic tier, Digimon Adventure Season 1, which was 1999. Also, Gundam, the 8th MS Team. Also, Wing Gundam. Also, Night Warriors, Darkstalker's Revenge, which is a great miniseries of like 4 episodes, which I highly recommend to anyone. Also, Last Exile, which is a great series that was done by Pioneer Entertainment at the time. Also, New Cutie Honey, which was during the 90s. Cutie Honey in general is really the godmother, if you will, of magical girl animes. Also, want to mention Big O, Golden Boy, Bleach, Pokemon Season 1, Sailor Moon, mostly rather the Toonami era of Sailor Moon. Also, Full Metal Alchemist, the original series, Tenchi Muyo, Tenchi Universe. Also, Soul Eater, Wolf's Rain. Also, Blue Submarine number 6. As well as the last for the classic tier, The Slayers, which is a classic anime that was big in the 90s. And many branch off series of The Slayers, but I highly recommend checking it out. Last but not least, the all-time great anime tier list. First up, we have Robotech, an all-time classic, which should surprise no one. Also, G Gundam is another, in my opinion, one of the all-time greats. Also, Serial Experiments Lane. Also, Inuyasha. Also, Lupin the Third. Also, Digimon Tamers. Rurouni Kenshin. Street Fighter 2V. Some people may disagree with that, though. I bet you most people have never even seen Street Fighter 2V, as I really like the take in Bison specifically, and I kind of like some of the character redesigns and stuff in the series. At least it did justice to Dalzine. Also in the all-time greats, Yu Yu Hakusho, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, the Johto era, specifically. Also, All My Goddess, which is a great classic magical girl anime. Also, Ouran High School Host Club, which is a anime that's become one of my personal favorite romantic comedies of all time. The comedic stuff, delivery is great. The characters, I love. The English, actually, voice cast is superb. Overall, very enjoyable. Also, I want to mention Excel Saga. If you've never seen Excel Saga, definitely you need to check it out. Also, I recommend checking out some other stuff. Of course, all-time greats, Dragon Ball, no duh. Dragon Ball Z, no surprise. And next, Last three for, in my opinion, the all-time great tier of anime: Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, and last but not least, Spice and Wolf. So with that said, that is my tier of specifically around 100 animes looking at, and keep in mind this is strictly ones I have personally watched. So leave a comment. Which tiers do you disagree with? What tiers do you agree with? I'm curious to see opinions, as this is many different animes discussing about. But with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. Stay safe, and hopefully you enjoyed the music from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes.